Yeah, and LeBron had absolutely nothing to do with JJ Redick actually becoming the head coach of the Los Angeles Lakers. From Underrated Media, I am Dave DeBaugh, and this is the Underrated Pod.
This is Phoenix.
You've been knocked down and got up again. In a corner, you're surrounded, no defenders.
What's up, North America? On tonight's show, we're going straight to the point, and we are going to talk about Shaquille O'Neal's comments on his big podcast about JJ Redick. Here we go. You have LeBron's respect. What about the other guys? That's going to be a test. I don't think I could play for a guy who I just played against 4 or 5 years ago. Now, there's a couple points I want to make about this. First of all, we know that Shaquille O'Neal says a lot of things that he doesn't actually mean. Sometimes he says stuff to actually just get people's attention. Now, I'm sure if this actually did happen to Shaquille O'Neal, he would not have walked away from the millions of dollars he was making on his salary. I'm sure he went to protest it against a former player suddenly becoming a head coach in the National Basketball Association. So that's the first point I want to make. But the second point, which is the larger point about JJ Redick as a head coach in the National Basketball Association. And this is pretty simple, North America. And that is JJ Redick played basketball in the NBA for 15 years. Now, we know what he's been doing after basketball. And certainly when you watch and listen to a lot of JJ Redick's podcasts and the things he did on television, of course, it is understandable that JJ Redick is one of the top 1%, in the world that truly understands the game of basketball. And more specifically to that point, he truly understands the National Basketball Association. Now, I understand what Shaq is saying, and for most successful head coaches in the modern era of coaching, both in football as well as in basketball, what you actually have to do beyond the X's and O's, beyond the strategic moves and changes that you make, you have to figure out how to get the most out of your millionaires. And if JJ Redick can do that, because he certainly knows all of the other things that he needs to know about basketball, the inexperience of as a head coach will certainly come with time. I cite Steve Kerr. I'm based here in the Silicon Valley, and I can tell you that Steve Kerr, early in his coaching career with the Golden State Warriors, he was not necessarily the guy with the whiteboard drawing the plays up. That came a little later in his rookie year as a head coach in the National Basketball Association. We know JJ Redick certainly feels comfortable with a whiteboard, so I'm sure that won't be a problem. The biggest issue for JJ Redick, as it was for Steve Kerr, is actually connecting with his players. Now, you could say that JJ Redick's recent experience in the NBA should benefit him, but at the end of the day, this is about personality. And can JJ Redick actually use his personality? And I'm not worried about LeBron James, a little bit more worried about AD, but can he use his personality to actually get the most out of the players on the Los Angeles Lakers? And to me, that is what is actually going to be interesting. All right. So those are my thoughts on JJ Redick actually becoming the new head coach of the Los Angeles Lakers and the quotes that Shaquille O'Neal made on his very own podcast. North America, we're shooting for 2,000 subscribers. We're a fairly new channel, 1 million plus views. Thanks so much for all your support. Please go and subscribe and, of course, like this video. One last note tonight. which is to say Caitlin Clark scored 31 points, set a new career record for her. The Indiana Fever ended up destroying the Chicago Storm in Chicago. And by the way, Shaquille O'Neal was there to watch the game. And of course, he's involved with Angel Reese with her new podcast. All right, North America, that is it for tonight's Underrated Pod. Please go ahead and drop in your comments. I want to hear from you. Drop them in. Seriously. Tell me what you think. For the Underrated Pod, I am Dave DeBaugh, wishing you all a tremendous rest of your sports viewing day. To the cool new music we go.
This is Phoenix.